There is growing political pressure to do more about what children see and share online, with ministers now discussing whether under 16s should be blocked from social media or face much stricter age checks. Supporters argue such limits could curb harmful content. Opponents say a blanket ban is difficult to police and risks driving young people into unregulated spaces online.
There's no doubt that social media can be a good thing. It allows us to communicate with others, which of course is absolutely fine for the majority of those who sort of use it responsibly. What we have, of course, are many young people, and of course we're talking about the under 16-year-olds who use it perhaps irresponsibly. There's online bullying. There's a whole lot of things that go on sort of chat rooms and the sort of like, which I am not exposed to because, of course, I'm obviously not of that sort of age group. And it's not something I grew up with. I was used to sort of telephoning people, and if you need to, you write them a letter. And of course, all this was done with sort of prior consideration. So what we've got is a sort of a pretty dreadful sort of culture that's grown up in certain sort of parts of social media. And therefore, of course, the belief is, and with a lot of justification, that somehow or other we need to sort of to wean kids off it. The real difficulty is, they have it as a sort of a part of their lives. It's imbued into it. It's in the DNA that something that they do. So how do you get from where we are and then sort of take it away? It's a real problem. It's a bit like sort of smoking. Somehow or other, you have to sort of to disincentivize. And of course, that's done by sort of heavy advertising and sort of taxes. But of course, social media doesn't work like that. You can do it in your sort of on your telephone, in your sort of bedroom, away from sort of prying eyes. But there's little control. So the idea that sort of government are going to be able to sort of do whatever they think they're going to do, which of course is to deprive kids or under 16-year-olds of being able to sort of have free access, is it's fraught with problems. And of course, there's a whole sort of set of sort of liberties that sort of come into play. But nonetheless, it's a good thing. But like all sort of good intentions, they perhaps will lead to hell, and it's going to be very difficult to sort of to police.
The government's Online Safety Act already places duties on platforms to protect children, including age assurance requirements and stronger content moderation. Now, the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport has said that it's exploring whether existing measures are enough or whether outright age limits could help.
Of course, what we had, and of course, remember, it's only sort of 5 years or so since we had lockdowns where we forced young people, all of us, let's face it, but young people in particular, where you go into that social sort of engagement and that sort of socializing and all the sort of skills that come with that. Well, we forced them to be in their bedrooms. And of course, the advantage of social media was it allowed people to communicate. So that kind of gave it a sort of boost, but it was well on the sort of the way to sort of to becoming very embedded in sort of youth culture. So anything that sort of takes people out of the sort of the house and gets them to meet other people. Yeah, young people do like to do things which, of course, are sort of they get instant sort of hits, as it were. But I still come back to this sort of challenge that sort of the government's intention to sort of try and deprive young people of their hits is going to sort of come with sort of a lot of pain, and I think it's going to be very difficult. And let's face it, we're not no one's going to have sort of inspectors coming around to people's houses. They can't even do that with sort of TV licenses. Let's face it. And of course, there is a signal. So somehow or other, it comes back down to sort of parental responsibility, and therein lies the sort of the big difficulty.
Polling has shown significant concern amongst parents about online harms and mental health. But experts warn that any ban could be hard to enforce and may have unintended consequences. If children simply move to less visible apps, Australia's approach to under 16 restrictions is being watched closely as part of this debate.